And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a new game from Meebo called Carrossel. Now, the merry-go-round, a device that I've been dealing with for the last 20 years because all my kids want to ride on the merry-go-round, and before that I wanted to. It is certainly a favorite ride and moving around, and in this game, everyone's trying to get different riders who want to ride various things, although obviously you want to ride the dolphin or the dragon over the boring horses, but this is a game that's kind of an abstract strategy style game in which you are placing tiles in such a way to try to form patterns on the board. There's a lot of games like that, but this one has a rotating board. So there's a lot of differences here, and here's how it plays. In this game, each player, and this is the 4-player side of the board, although there's a 3-player side of the board on the other side, but each player is only going to be concerned with the section that's in front of them for playing cards. So there's going to be some cards that are placed here at the beginning of the game for scoring purposes at the end, but each player is going to have a shield, and behind that shield you're going to place tiles that match the 4 different riders. We got fish, tigers, swans and horses, and then dragons are wild. You're going to have 3 riders, so they're drawn randomly. I happen to have one of these 3 different colors put in front of me. Players will also have their own set of cards here that is numbered from 1 to 12, matching in different spaces on the board in front of them. This marker here keeps track of what happens in each round, and you're going to keep doing that till an endgame condition is met. Now, on a player's turn, they're going to be playing a card in front of them as well as a tile. Everyone's going to be doing this simultaneously, and then you'll reveal. So this says in 1, and I'm putting the fish. I'll put the fish in the 1. This card then is set aside. I won't be able to use it for the remainder of the game unless there's something that allows me to take my cards back. After everyone has played a tile, you check to see if something will score. Now, after the first turn, that's likely not going to happen. But let's pretend that these 2 tiles were on the board. I'm going to look to see if my 3 cards, and so I have the green, the tiger, and the horse here, and do I have a row where at least one of those tiles is in my section? Here I do. Green, the fish, the horse, the tiger. All 3 of those. So I can score that row. So when that happens, I'm going to take the riders that match each of those and place them on the corresponding tiles. And then whoever owns the tile, and you can see it's green, yellow, and blue, those people are going to get these cards, which are worth victory points. So hooray! I'm going to take this one. The yellow player gets the horse, and the tiger player gets this. After that's done, I'm going to rotate the board, and then you once again check to see if you can score, because it's possible that something rolled into your area that you can score. You will then draw 3 new cards and put them in front of you with the corresponding riders in front of you. Remember, anybody can go on top of a dragon, although there is a card that shows up halfway through the deck that's a dragon, and only the dragon can go on top of the dragon. You can also, as the time goes by, these cards that you've gotten are worth points, but they also can be used to do special abilities. You can only use each card once per game. So one of them is going to allow you to get your cards back. The swan one here. All the number cards that you played, you can get back. Another one is going to allow you to simply remove your riders off your tile so that they can be played again on top of those. The tiger can be played to allow you to go to a number that's different than the one that you've played. You can place one that's the closest value to whatever card you played. The dragon will let you flip this, and so now the board starts rotating in the other direction in the middle. Instead of rotating clockwise, it rotates counterclockwise. And this one lets you just put out one person, one rider, and score 1 card rather than all 3 in a row. So players are going to continue to do this. It's going to rotate, and the board's going to slowly fill up with riders. And this will happen until someone can't make a legal move, which means all the cards you have are filled up and there's nothing you can do to play there. Or if we run out of cards to fill somebody's after they put out all 3 of their riders, which is more likely. At that point, you will score for the bonus cards. So for example, this gives me a point for every yellow and red card that I've gotten. This one gives me 3 points for every 3 green cards I've gotten. This gives me 3 points for every one of this configuration of my tiles there is on the board, plus the cards that you've gotten over the course of the game, and whoever has the highest amount is the winner. So it's pretty neat to have this thing that spins around. There's a hole here to make it easier to spin. It spins, there's a plastic piece which holds the two boards together, and then you put this very, very wobbly thing on top. I'm not very happy with this. As I said, the board has a different side for 3 players, and it has special rules for 3 or 2 players. This is one of those games that's kind of optimized for 4 players. The cards themselves are okay quality. The numbers are pretty easy to see. The symbology is a little confusing in my opinion. There's only 4 things to remember, and the rules don't do a real good job at explaining when cards exactly can be played and timing issues. These work pretty well, although many times the bottoms fall off of them. I found that several of these, they come off a little too easily. The artwork and how the whole thing looks is great though, and also each player has a shield here, which would have been a great place to put what all those special abilities are, but the shield's mostly just to block what tiles you have left. It's not really that important to the game, honestly. There's some really cool concepts that are in this game, and one of them is that whenever you place a tile, you have to think, this is going to rotate to the next person. I'm placing these tiles around my board, connecting with other lines. The more tiles I get out that people use, it doesn't matter who uses them, it's going to score me points. So I want to put my tiles in such a way to not only help myself, but to set up the next person. Now, granted, if there's 2 of the same color that's in the same line, let's say there's 2 fish and a horse, and the point cards are 2, 1, and 1, well, I'm going to give the 2 fish card to myself if my tile is one of those 2. But you really have to sit there and think ahead. So if I put this tile here, so I'm going to rotate over there where it's going to help him, and then it might rotate over there where she will get it, and then she'll put the line there. Of course, she already played her 3, so she can't put another one in the 3. But if she plays this, which lets her take her cards back, and so there's a ton of forward planning in this. However, I don't know that I like the game because of that very reason. And see, that's one of the problems with Carrossel, is the game has all this thought process. I want to move ahead here. And at the end of the day, there's also randomness. You turn over 3 cards, lo and behold, these are the 3 cards I needed. And I don't know that the game itself is warranting that kind of thought. Like, I want to put this tile here and then put this one here and rotate it here to put it here and do this and this and this. And I've scored a point. All right, well, I was kind of hoping there was a little more to it than that. You don't want to play the game randomly, right? I'm not saying that the game should be played that way. You want to put out things exactly where you want them to be. But there's a lot of other players involved, and then you're watching as the board goes by, and you have to kind of think 6 moves ahead as it's spinning around the board. And I don't know... I mean, again, I'm not opposed to putting that much thought into it, but the game then feels very light comparatively for the amount of heavy thinking that is required for it. The spinning board is neat in theory. In practice, it's going to frustrate a lot of people who are looking for a light, pleasant game. This might be pleasant, but it's by no means light. And while I like the idea of you want to get as much stuff out on the board, it's really, you're saying, okay, if I play a 12, I'll never be able to play 12 again unless I get the swan, which allows me to pull it back. So maybe I want to get a swan, but to get a swan, I need to have a tile with a swan on it and someone out there who's willing to place on that swan. Oh, it gets a little heady after a while, which is, again, there's a lot of really heady games out there. The Carrossel theme works for me. I like the idea of the merry-go-round. I like how the board looks. The components could be maybe a little bit better. But the idea of the game, I think, is one that if you had shown it to me, I would have said, this sounds fantastic. I like this idea. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure who the game is for, because people who really like these thought-out plans of attack are probably playing chess and Go and that, and they will be disappointed at the randomness, especially how the cards show up. The people who like the randomness of the cards and are just trying to make fun patterns will be probably disappointed by the level of forethought that they need to put in to play it. Now, there are going to be people who meet both of those. And when I played it, I was able to grok the system and say, okay, I'm moving here, move ahead. I just felt the payoff wasn't enough for me, while I saw some people that I played with kind of flounder as they tried to figure out just what was going on. So, Carrossel is an interesting idea. I would not call it a bad game. I'm just not sure that the level of effort you put into it is worth the reward it gives you. Dice Tower Judgment, too simple for the amount of complexity in the game.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching the Dice Tower.